Well, hello everyone, and welcome to John Talks Indian Cinema. I am your host, the Indian Cine-MANIAC, back with another 10ish minute review. Okay, this is another one from the recommended list, and this is from one of my favorites. Oh, almost always the first to comment. This was recommended by Cully Singh 3378. And the film he chose is Zinda from 2006, a remake of the South Korean film Oldboy. Now, I never saw the original, but I'm actually thinking about watching it after seeing this. And I saw the American remake, which I did not think was a very good movie. But this is it's not really a remake. It's more of a, they couldn't remake it because they didn't get consent from Korea to make this film. So there's all kinds of legal issues. So they changed some plot threads, some pretty big plot threads too. I'll get to that in a second. It's directed by Sanjay Gupta, who also directed Kaante, which I recently reviewed. Stars the ever reliable Sanjay Dutt, Munnai Bai series, Agnipath, Leo, amongst others. John Abraham, big fan of his. In fact, I just reviewed, wait, this will drop. When will this drop? This will drop after I reviewed Kabul Express. He's been in Doom, Attack. I mean, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. Lara Dutt, quite beautiful, Lara Dutt. I don't know why I always say that about these actresses, but she is beautiful. Dawn 2, Faana, and Kaki. Celina Jaitly, who I don't think I've seen in anything. Mahesh Manjekar, who was in Kaante and Slumdog Millionaire. Okay, so if you've seen Oldboy, either version, the original South Korean or the Hollywood version starring Josh Brolin, you know the story. A happily married guy finds himself in captivity for 14 years. And at the end of 14 years, he comes out of a luggage trunk in the middle of, in this film, Bangkok. He's from Bangkok. He lives in Bangkok. So that's where it takes place. And he's trying to piece together, one, who put him in this prison, the cell. Why did they do it? And is he going to get his revenge? That's the story. And it's really as simple as that. Now, I have to review this. I want to be fair to this film because I have to tell you, Cully, I did like this film. It was there were some things I didn't like about it, but I did like it. It did really keep me engaged. It was short too. It was not a long movie. But having seen the American version of Oldboy and knowing the ultimate plot twist of the original Oldboy, I have to say that the power of what happens at the end of the original Oldboy in the Hollywood remake is lost in this film. They redid it. Now, that could be one of two reasons. One, because of the lawsuits from Korea, or two, it wasn't going to work in a Hindi film. And I don't know which one is true, but it didn't have the power of those other two films. That's for sure. The ending, I should say. Also, the fight choreography was not very good in this film. In fact, there are scenes, the famous scene is the hammer fight in the hallway. And they film it in a way where punches are missing by 2 feet. So it looked a little ridiculous. Not like, and I've seen clips. I haven't seen the film, but I've seen clips of the Korean version, and the stuff looks unbelievable. Now, having said that, if you never saw either Oldboy films and didn't know the plot twist that's missing in this film, I think you probably like this film. It keeps you going. You're trying to figure out the mystery. they tell you pretty quickly who did this to him, but not why. And that takes a while. In fact, it doesn't really come out till the last, you know, 25 minutes probably where you start to figure it out. Um, so this is a hard one to rate the story because it's a remake. And I think the original story is a better story because of the ending. Disturbing, that's for sure. And because I didn't know, well, listen, I'm just going to tell you, if because these are both old movies, but in the original Old Boy, the ultimate revenge that in this film Rohit gets is the lead character who's been in prison and now gets out, not in prison, but imprisoned, gets out and end up sleeping with who turns out to be his daughter, which he finds out at the end, and she's in love with him. So it's awful. And in this film, he sleeps with Lara Dutt. So of course I'm thinking that's going to end up somehow being his daughter. So I'm completely creeped out by it, which I absolutely was in the Old Boy that I saw. That's gone from this. He has a daughter, but it's a 14-year-old daughter that he saves at the end of the film. So that's a big difference in these films. So I want to be fair to this film, and I would say this as a Old Boy remake. I would give the story a two. If you never saw either of the Old Boys, I'd probably give the story a four, but it's not an original story, right? And I think the Old Boy storyline is a better story, so that's why I'm going to give it a two. And there's a lot of things that happen in this that were really well done. He's in this cell and there's a red circle which comes into play. They're gassing him with Valium to knock him out so they can clean him up. And those scenes are really good. And he's watching TV and there's references, you see the time passing with references on the TV because he doesn't have a calendar. He doesn't know what year it is, but 9/11 was in there. That was pretty powerful. Um, I mean, there were other things that showed the passing of time. And then he's also training. He's training to when he ultimately does get out, he's going to be able to fight. Um, so so there were some things about the story that weren't explained, like the fact that Lara Dutt even shows up. It's kind of a weird scene. He's going to a taxi. The taxi driver doesn't speak English. All of a sudden, she pulls up in her taxi, and she happens to be Hindi, and she can speak Indian. Now was that set up by Rohit? You don't really find that out. And then the scene where, and this was creepy. Um, he sleeps with her. She comes on to him, and that was also because I don't know the age difference there, but there's a pretty good age difference there. And it was a little, cringe. But they show them, and it's this weird hotel room. And the director did some weird things with colors, but like for instance, when they flashed back, everything was really bright. But when they were in the present time, it had like almost a blue tint to it the whole time. And when they were in the hotel room, they're hiding out from the bad guys, and they finally sleep together. Well, the room, red walls, red carpet, red silk covers on the bed. Well, after they sleep with each other, they're both asleep. They get gassed again. Now, John Abraham's character Rohit comes in, and he's wearing a mask, and all you hear is a like Darth Vader, and they're passed out, so they can't do anything. But he's doing a monologue, narrative, a voiceover actually, and he lies down in the bed and is uh, petting Laura Dutt's head, which her name was Jenny, by the way. Which, of course, that's why I thought she was going to be his daughter, Sanjay's daughter, but it didn't turn out that way. That was creepy. And then he left a present, and when they opened up the present, it was a hand. So some of that was creepy. Um, and John Abraham doesn't show up for quite a bit into the movie. Um, and you don't understand his motivation. He's a wealthy guy. In fact, he's the guy that set up Bala in Bangkok as part of a software company. He owned it, so he's worth a lot of money, but all he wants is revenge on this guy. And as it goes on, he pieces it. And ultimately, what happened was when they were kids, little kids, Bala teased his sister, Rohit's sister, Rima, and pretended like he got her underwear. So now all the kids in school thought she was a slut. Well, she ends up burning herself up. She tortures herself while the younger brother Rohit looks on. That's what this was all about. That's what it was. So, I thought the story was like I said. If you haven't seen either of the Old Boys, now if you haven't seen this film, you haven't seen the Old Boys, I've totally ruined it for you, and I apologize for that. But these are old movies, and that's a pretty big plot point that was changed, and I don't think it made the film better. Now the performances. I read the reviews on this, and people were beating up Sanjay Dutt pretty good. I thought I thought for everything that he was put through in this film, I thought he was actually really good. Now, I didn't necessarily buy his because he's older, he's a little bit not in the greatest shape in the world. So the fight scenes were a little hard to swallow against these younger guys. And of course, and Bruce Lee did it too. They come at you one at a time. There's 50 guys, but they come at you one at a time. But he takes his punishment, a knife in the back. He's getting whacked around. And John Abraham he was effectively creepy, and you're still trying to figure out why he's doing all this until he finally explains it and kind of breaks down. And Lara Dutt, I thought was good in this. There's also a character named Joy, his friend, who ends up, an awful scene. He's in a pool hall, and Rohit just stabs him because on the phone he's remembering what happened with this girl, and he's talking to Bala, and he starts saying she's a whore, she's a whore, she's a whore, and he turns around and Rohit's right there and just stabbing him. She's not a whore. She's not a whore. She's not her. It was awful. So, the performances were good. They weren't great. I thought Sanjay was much better than the reviewers thought. This film got hammered. I kind of get why if you've seen Old Boy, but I'm trying to be fair to the film because I actually was into it, even though that ending disappointed me. I was still into it. So I will give the performance a 3. Not great, not awful. The music, again, this was not a film for musical numbers, which I really do appreciate. And I felt like the music was good. It kind of fit. It kind of fit the look of the movie. There's a scene where he's testing wontons all over Bangkok because that's all he was fed when he was held in the cell, and he's trying to find the place where the wontons came from. So that's a long scene where he's getting sick because he's eating so many of them. But I thought the incidental music was very, very good. I'm going to give the music a 4 because I found it fit the tone of this film. So overall, I'll give it a 3. I don't know what you think about this, Cully, if you've seen Old Boy, and how would you compare the two? But again, if I hadn't seen the original, I think I would have liked it a lot more. But I thought for what it was and how it kept my interest, and it kept me curious to figure out why this was even happening. I think 3's fair. So that's what I thought of Zinda, the remake of Old Boy. So, Cully, we're good for a little bit now. I got a lot on my list, but I want to make sure I take care of my loyal viewers like you. So since we did that one, what the heck? Why don't you subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button. By the way, as of this recording, 148 subscribers. 150. You know what would be an amazing Christmas gift this year? 150 subscribers. We can do it. We can do it. All right, that's it. That's it. That's my I think that was about 10ish minute. All right, we'll talk to you soon on John Talks Indian Cinema with another 10ish minute review. Thanks for watching.